Psalm 40. Look at what the psalmist says beginning in verse 6. Again, Psalm of David. Sacrifice and offering you did not desire, but my ears you have pierced. We won't get into the different meanings there, different potential readings. Burnt offerings and sin offerings you did not require. Then I said, here I am, I've come. It's written about me in the scroll. I desire to do your will, O my God. Your law is within my heart. I proclaim righteousness in the great assembly. I do not see on my lips. He goes on and then begins to confess his sin. Don't withhold your mercy from me, verse 11, verse 12. My sins have overtaken me. What's happening here? Why does the New Testament apply this as a messianic prophecy? David here gets a revelation. Bimgilat Sefer Katuv Alai, in the volume of the book, it's written about me. Zevach u'mincha lo chafatzta. Sacrifice and offering you didn't desire. Lo v'chata'a lo sha'alta. You didn't ask for burnt offerings and sin offerings. Bimgilat Sefer Katuv Alai, in the volume of the book, the scroll of the book, it's written about me. He gets this revelation. What you really want is me. You want my whole life given over in complete obedience. When I'm reading about the sacrifice, the offering, you're actually talking about me. You're talking about my life. For example, the olah, which is the burnt offering, was given up wholly to the Lord. It was a symbol of complete dedication. It was not a sin offering. It was a symbol of complete dedication. So the worshiper now would symbolically have that animal replace his life, and the whole of it, the priest didn't get any of it. It was completely burnt and went completely up to God. And this is what he's saying symbolically. That's my life going up to you. And he gets this revelation. Then I said, behold, I come. In the volume of the book, it's written about me. It's written about me. I delight to do your will. Your Torah is written in my heart. This is it. This is the revelation. And then within a few more verses, but my sins have overtaken me. They're more than the hairs of my head. In other words, I fall quite short. He gets this revelation, which is ultimately quoted in Hebrews 10 to say, this is really a picture of Messiah coming into the world. He's the one that the sacrifices and offerings are pointing to. He's the one who's perfectly obedient, who can fulfill all this. So when David says you never asked for sacrifice and offering, of course God did. Of course he did. He has the whole system of Torah where he lays it out and requires it and says you have this, you have options to do this is required, etc., etc. Either David is saying throw out the Torah, has no meaning, or he's saying I got a deeper insight. And that's the whole thing of it. You just don't want a sacrifice, you want me. You just don't want an animal on the altar, you want my life on the altar, which every follower of Jesus would immediately think of Romans 12, that we are called to lay our own lives as living sacrifices on the altar. That our whole life is now given over to God. But the idea that David was saying that God did not like sacrifices, or he was repudiating sacrifices, again, is contrary to the life of David, contrary to Torah, and contrary to the meaning of this. And as I understand it, this revelation bursts in him, and then he's confronted with his sins again. You almost get the feeling that he's preaching this, he's proclaiming it, this excitement, this insight, and then the revelation of his own sin is there. And again, I ask the question, so David would have said, hey guys, forget this, fold up the tabernacle. Boy, was I wrong. All this money I got stored up for a temple, let's just give that to the poor. Boy, how can I be so stupid? God doesn't want any of this. But what about what's written in the Torah? No. It's talking about me. It's talking about you. Obviously not. I know it's ridiculous to even suggest that, but I want to carry out what would have been the case if he was repudiating it. To say it once more, I don't want to overemphasize the point, but it must be emphasized that the prophets did not repudiate Torah, and David did not repudiate Torah. In fact, one of the arguments that traditional Jews give, we're not going to believe in Jesus because he abolished the Torah. I don't care how many miracles he performed. Oh, but you're saying the prophets abolished it? The prophets repudiated it? David abolished it? David repudiated it? Of course not. And we'll also see later this week that Yeshua himself did not abolish Torah.